John, I'm going to stay with you for a second. I want you to expand a little bit, right? Because you mentioned future state in
Yeah.
that design and architecture. If you were to design a future state from scratch, what would be those foundational layers in that architecture?
Yeah, I think to be fair, I think that there's multiple architectures that need to be considered. I think one of the base layers that we are advocating visibility into is how do you think about the network? Particularly challenging is how do you operate the same network inside the hospital as you do across town and in some instances across the country. One flat network that powers the hospital ecosystem. When I say ecosystem, the IT ecosystem that delivers that care. So we believe that the network is overlooked many times, and it's the one area that needs attention to look at. And most recently, there's advancements in the technology that allows a new dialogue to occur. So that's how I would frame the dialogue.
Hey, Wes, let me bring you to the stage on that note. You're living this every single day at Freeman. Does that really compare to reality in your world?
Sure does. John brought up several interesting points. I want to kind of frame those for you real quick. What do you need? Today we have to have security. So when you think about the healthcare revolution here, it is security. You got to keep that data safe because everybody else wants it, and we want to keep it safe. That's the big element, trust. The data is going to be safe. Well, number two, you have to be able to, on demand, be able to present it to all the other caregivers that you have. You've got to think about this when you think about caregivers. There's a model here that we're going to talk about in a moment. You'll see this kind of imbued in the entire discussion. This is the way I look at it. Think about healthcare. You have a general physician that covers a lot of bases. But then to give you the best healthcare, you have specialists. You have specialists for this, specialists for that, because one person can't know it all. If you think about what you got to have to really deliver good healthcare, it takes that ecosystem of people, that ecosystem of partners, that ecosystem of specialists to give you the best. And so the next thing you need is an ecosystem of special IT folks that you've got to bring together. So that's the next pillar that you're going to have to have. In this case, it's going to be networking, security. So you think of T-Mobile's Cell Hub, you need a general powerhouse for technology. We're going to hear that in a moment from CDW. You need to be able to then cater to the security ends for the way that data is going to be held and it's going to be transmitted. Again, we're going to see that in our partners, T-Mobile being one of that. And then the other thing that you've got to be able to do is be able to transmit this stuff everywhere and open it up. And you have to have personalization. Now that's going to be the beginnings of these set of pillars that are going to define healthcare. And then there's many, many devices. So that's the IoT component. That's the next thing. So if we come down to it, all these things together, the data, the security, the IoT devices that are going to be very close to the consumer, all of those things are collectively going to start making what we'll end up calling personalization. I need the data. I need the security. I need devices to help me both collect and to give. And we need a whole ecosystem that can start covering all these things because no man's an island. We don't know it all. We need everybody to seamlessly come together to deliver it. So, as John talks about that, and we hear to the other presenters today, that's what comes to my mind. What's the reality? The reality is we, number one, have that at our fingertips today. That's something different. We can actually solve this problem. Number two, personalization demands all this ecosystem. Can't deliver it without it, and you can't do it safely. And number three is technology is like medicine. There's a new revelation every week, and you
Yeah.
can't deal with that yourself. If you want to get the best care, you better get the best people. So that's kind of how I would frame this whole thing. That's somewhat unlocked what John said and what Todd will probably say.
Wes, I'm going to keep you on the stage just for a second here because you brought up the pillars, right?
Mhm.
What if nothing changes in those pillars for organizations over the next 2 or 3 years?
Well, this will be kind of an interesting thing if it did it because technology is constantly changing. But let's say they did not. There's another factor in here which will constantly change, even if the technology stays the same, and that's people. People will move, people will change, their conditions will change. So whether the technology stays dormant or not, the technology and the way we use it, the way we leverage it, the way we take that data and deploy it, the way we take the tools that we have this very second and use them differently in a personalization manner, the people will change, their conditions will change. We want to change our relationship with that customer. So I'll use whatever technology I have in whatever manner I've got it, and I'll keep changing the story because the person's needs going to change, that patient's needs going to change. If I'm going to provide good health care, then I have to change my relationship that I have with that patient from somebody that is visiting me, so episodic, to somebody I have a solid, continuous 24 by 7 relationship. So when I'm looking for partners, I'm looking for people that have got 24 by 7 mindsets, 24 by 7 technology. So if it stays that way, I'm still moving on,
Yeah.
creating a better experience day by day by day even if I'm using the very same technology, I am absolutely deploying it differently, leveraging it differently, using what it can do to constantly change the story. Whether the technology changes or not, I'll change the story because the customer is changing.